funny. You watch the little countdown, then you know you got to go. All right, here we go. Hi there, everybody. It's good to see you. My name is Skip Clark. As you know, I host the Skip Happens podcast. Have you ever wondered, let's say you're listening to the radio, watching TV, you hear a voice come on, and it's like, wow, I wonder who that is. Yeah, well, TV, radio, award shows, and everywhere in between, you're going to hear this voice. And on the way, right here on Skip Happens, I'll be joined by the legendary John Willyard. John is a Country Music Radio Hall of Fame inducted voiceover icon. His work has shaped the sound of country music and major broadcasts for decades. He's the man behind countless unforgettable moments and memories, and the voice you know, even if you don't realize it yet. Yeah, it's him. He's represented by Atlas Entertainment, founder of John Willyard Productions Incorporated. We will talk legendary gigs. He's had a lot of those to craft a voiceover, how that voice was and is built, and the stories behind the mic. It's going to be good. I promise you, trust me, you don't want to miss this one. Right now, I'm in the Wolf Studio. We're going to switch it over. I'll be in the pod zone here. It's coming up momentarily with John Willyard. And look at that. Here we are. It was that quick. In fact, I'll give a little music. Look at this. Hi, everybody. It's Skip Clark. And tonight, of course, Miss Ray is here a day earlier than usual. And there he is, ladies and gentlemen, as I mentioned in that little pre-roll. Yeah, this guy's a legend. And if you know anything about radio, maybe you work in radio and you know he's going to be on tonight. It's the voice that we have heard for so many years, as I mentioned, the CMAs, just commercials and television shows and movie trailers and all that. I want to say it's the voice that everybody knows, maybe. And John Willyard, there you are, my friend.
Thank you.
How are
so
you?
much. Thank you.
Wow. This is so exciting.
Thank you. Thank you, Miss
I'm
Ray.
so excited. Yes.
Yeah, Miss Ray's joining us. John, we're going to jump right into this, and then we got a lot of stories, we're going to share. You're one of those voices people instantly recognize, but can't always place. Do you remember the first time somebody said, wait, that's you? Do you remember that?
Ooh, I'll tell you a funny one as I try to remember. Several months ago, I was at a Starbucks in Atlanta. And one of the baristas, I still can't believe this. After she gave me her order, she said, well, weren't you the voice of WCW? And my mouth dropped open and I went, how did you know that? We went off, that was sold. Turner sold that, excuse me, in March of 2001. How do you even know this? Well, come to find out, she is a wrestler with a very small wrestling organization, but she's a female wrestler and she just knows all these things. So, but anyway, back to your question. What was the first time somebody said, well, and I've been doing it so long, and people would ask me, does it freak you out to hear yourself played back? And I said, I just got so used to it when I was in my 20s. Mm-hmm. I was actually doing newscasts in San Francisco at age 18 and 19 and 20. And you know what the stories were? Wow. And you as a university, your undergraduate work, you would know this. I hope we're still teaching about the Vietnam War and about the Irish Republican Army and about the Paris peace talks. I was doing stories about that. 5-minute newscast, 10-minute newscast, and they were live. And the first, you'll get a kick out of this, Skip. The first major technological advance that we had at the station was when the UPI teletype got a damper over. They put a counter over with a plexiglass, and it had a dampening agent to it inside. So instead of and the secretaries in the front office where it was, they couldn't hear the calls. Because it was.
I remember that.
I swear to you, that was
early on.
Oh yeah. Changing the ink with Playtex gloves and.
Oh my God.
Purple ink on your
it was always a mess.
Great memories.
Yeah. Do you remember, John? Do you remember when you first realized that your voice could be more than just a voice? What made you? I mean, you were doing the radio, you were doing the news. But when did you say, you know what, my voice is more than just a voice? When did that all like happen for you?
Well, that's interesting. I would have to say that a guy in San Francisco who came over from a major station over to Stockton, where I was kind of a fledgling over there after having kind of spun my wheels. And then I wanted to get into commercial radio. And so I was doing some imaging work and playing it for him. And he went, wow, you just imitated Roscoe. I don't know if you remember that voice from maybe the 70s. He did a lot of trailers and things like that. But I said, yeah, that's who I was going for. So he became my second broadcast mentor. Now, this is a guy that, unbeknownst to me, we put the story together after the fact. When I was about 10 or 11, 12 years old, growing up in the Los Angeles County, Los Angeles area, we were under the radio waves of all the great LA radio stations. And I had a little transistor radio that had a headphone, and I was listening to it every night, and I'd have to put new batteries in the next day because I'd fall asleep with it, not turning it off. And we figured out that I was listening to him when he was on the air on KRLA, I think, which was a top 40 station in Los Angeles. And we would work together about 16 years later after me hearing him on the air, not really putting it together until much, much later. But yeah, he was probably the first guy. That's a long-winded explanation to your question. But then
I love that.
Then I did start doing, before I knew what to call that, we were calling ourselves imaging voices. That's just what I was doing from the late 70s through the 80s. And even when I was program director and on the air, I would always just, well, it was kind of like Scott Shannon when he went to a station that I would eventually go to in Atlanta, WQXI. They said he was so involved in the station that he peed in every corner. Well, that must have been my mantra too, because I was so involved on the air on that station, and we consequently took it to the top. And guess who was well, at the time, I would have to say the know-it-all teenage son that, because his dad had run a station in Washington State and came down to become our general manager, that young man is now, you know him as David Joe Turnbow.
No way.
Yeah. He was on the air on the weekends. Yeah.
Dude, that's so cool. That's so cool.
There's a lot of things you're going to find out.
I know. And we're already headed in that direction. John, you voiced some of the biggest moments in country music and broadcast history. Is there one gig that still gives you chills?
I think maybe of the 20 CMA awards that I did work on, perhaps going to Madison Square Garden in 2005.
I was there.
But yes, you were talking about that. And wow, that was something else. And that was a pivotal moment. That was a transition in the CMA awards, because I'll never forget telling one of the associate producers, I said, I just can't wait till we get back to the intimacy of the Grand Ole Opry. And she looked at me and said, we're never going back. I said, why? We're going to go do arena shows. It's going to be at the SoMe Center, which is now the Bridgestone Arena in Nashville, where the Predators play. Why are we going to do that? Because they want to sell tickets. I didn't know. So, we would. Now about that, you know the comedy of Nate Bargatze.
Oh yeah.
Unbelievable. So you know the story about him? So he did the biggest show, the most seats ever sold at Bridgestone Arena. Bigger than any event they've ever had, bigger than any concert. He sold out more seats than anybody in history at Bridgestone Arena. So did you hear what he said he did? So when he left, he took one chair.
He took one chair
away so it could never be equaled.
Are you serious?
Oh my God.
Yeah, Nate Bargatze.
Yeah, I know who he is very well. I had no idea that he had the biggest show at the Bridgestone, but Wow, that's amazing.
Now, while we were
There's
talking about country music and the CMA Awards, I don't know why I brought him up, except that he might have been a presenter. You never know, because they've had all
chances
kinds of
are.
they've had all kinds of presenters. They've had people from, the old Nashville show that was on cable, and
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
everybody from Hayden Panettiere and all those people. But we have had non-country acts who did have a little foot in country, but really weren't known for country. And I'm thinking of the Doobie Brothers, and they were on the last year that do you like Reagan? Do you like the Doobie Brothers?
She probably doesn't know who they are. Do
Yeah.
you know? Do you know who the Doobies
I've
are?
heard of them.
Play
I've heard
it.
of them. I couldn't tell you a song, but I will tell you I have heard that name.
I will tell you.
Let's
I
cue
was
one up
there.
real fast and play it for her.
Yeah, I wish it was that easy. I have a poster.
I'll make
you
a
can't
note
see
and
it
play it
here.
after.
I have a poster on my wall here of the Doobies, and it's signed by the Doobie Brothers from CRS. And I think it was about the same week they were also playing either the CMA. No, it wasn't the award show, but they were on the boat. They were on the Sony boat that night.
Oh,
or the
right.
RCA
That's
boat.
right.
And then they had a show in town, I think, but they were also at the country radio seminar. They were at CRS, and there was something else going on that week. I don't remember exactly what it was, but they had their suite and they had their wine. They were into winemaking, or they had their own wine, and it was all coming together. It was all for that. So it was interesting. Good
Well,
stuff.
I didn't know they fermented, but I knew that they rolled. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, they rolled all right.
Yeah.
They are the Doobies.
So the Doobie Brothers were there the last year. They did 2 songs in the last maybe 2 acts, and they played it out. And Hunter Hayes, Miranda Lambert, I think Carrie, and they all kind of joined in on the song "Listen to the Music." But they played. No, Taking It to the Street was they took that out at the end, and Michael McDonald was part of that. So they were on the CMA Awards 2 years before that. But I'm going to take you back to one night, a Country Radio Hall of Fame evening at the Renaissance, when they used to do this the night before CRS would officially kick off. I liked it that it was linked to CRS week, because you didn't have to wait until later, like now they do it in July, which is great.
Right.
It's set apart. It's kind of sanctified. It's its own thing. But this particular night, I think it was the night that Rusty Walker was inducted, and so it was all over. All the speeches had been done. The lights came up. I stood up to put on my coat. I looked 2 tables over, and I went, "What?" It was Patrick Simmons, John McPhee, and Tom Johnston, the Doobie Brother, the heart, the core of the Doobie.
The core of the group. Yeah, exactly.
So I walked over, and as I'm walking over, I'm starting to chuckle, and I looked at Patrick and I said, "You and I, Patrick, have history." I said, "Do you remember a 100% pure boar bristle rosewood handle, lifetime guarantee hairbrush that I sold you door to door when I was a Fuller Brush guy in Los Gatos in 1972?" And he went, and he laughed and he said, "I still have that hairbrush." Decades later.
That's great.
See, Reagan, I can throw decades around. You can't.
Oh my God. That was one of those jobs way back in the day.
Is that crazy?
Yeah. It is crazy. It is crazy.
I love that.
So, what's a job you almost didn't take that turned into something really massive for you? It's a crazy question. But
wow, that's a good question. Wow. That is you've stumped me with that one. I'll tell you, I'll explain, maybe answer it this way, that one that I almost talked myself out of doing, but I did it, was that I had to fly. And, I really haven't had to commute for 25 years. I guess my commute is 14 steps down to my studio. I should have called my studio 14 steps down. That would have been a good name.
That would have been cool. Yeah.
That'd be kind of fun. I like to explain things a little bit. And it was a call from a former head stage manager of the CMA Awards, and you would see his name on the credits on Grammys, Billboard Music Awards, all the big shows, because he was known as a stage manager, one of the top people. And he called me one day and he said, I am producing and directing a live inaugural event in Florida. And he said, we'd like to fly you down. You'll be paid by the Republican Party there because they have to pay you on the spot by law. That's something that, that's part of that. That's part of following the law, the political laws of the state. I guess they have their own. Every state has their own. But I mean, so I went, yeah, that's not. So I did, and I got to introduce three different. I was the voice of three different events. Two were concerts. One was a country concert in which Aaron Tippin appeared, John Michael Montgomery. There was a youth concert, and then there was the actual inaugural event when it was Governor Rick Scott at the time. So I got to introduce all the Supreme Court justices of the state of Florida, all the past governors, Ronan Tynan, the Irish tenor, and my favorite, Lee Greenwood.
Lee Greenwood.
Yeah, that was sweet. So
he was a great interview.
That was a very unusual gig, and I could have charged them anything I wanted. It was open-ended. I didn't take advantage of it, but that was a crazy one. Another crazy gig, I would have to say, that was out of my wheelhouse, and this was based on a relationship with the executive producer of the CMA Awards, who is still executive producing. That's Robert Deaton. And he invited me to be the voice of, I don't know if you ever saw it, it was a CBS TV special it was on Fox. And it was Sports Illustrated, 50 Years of Beautiful, the swimsuit years.
Really?
Yeah, it was a special. And Tim McGraw was a guest musical artist. Julio who's the son of Julio? Iglesias.
Enrique.
Enrique. Yeah, thank you. You're good. That's it. Yeah. So that was an unusual one. Another strange one that was unusual, a one time only, was the 50th anniversary of Carol Burnett.
I saw that. And I remember that. And I remember saying, oh my God, John's got the voice. John's doing the voice on that.
Isn't that crazy?
So, and the thing is,
that was based on a relationship of the former CMA Awards director, Paul Miller, whose dad was the executive producer and director of not only the Grammys for about 25 years, but the CMA Awards for many, many years. As a matter of fact, I have to say this about Walter C. Miller. He's probably the one, in fact, I know he is, singularly the one who in the 80s put country on a national platform by booking country acts on the Grammys. That was Walter.
Really?
And one of his favorites was KT Oslin. Remember KT?
KT, yes.
And he'd have her on the Grammys. She was on one of the first or two shows of the CMA Awards, which I started doing in 1996. Another one of his favorites, of course, who just turned 80 yesterday, was Dolly. And Dolly would always have a gospel-tinged performance. And one night I was talking with the past CMA CEO, Tammy Genovese, and it was actually a night that they were honoring Walter C. Miller with the Irving Waugh Lifetime Achievement Award. It was a small gathering. Vince Gill was there to present it to him. Man, there was probably only about fewer than 100 people there. It was a small room. And I happened to ask her, what are your top 3 favorite moments of the CMA Awards? Because I know you watched them, Tammy, for many, many years. And without hesitating, and you'll know this performance as soon as I tell you, she said, He's Alive, Dolly Parton, 1991. Remember that one?
Oh, yeah, I do. No, oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, wow. I do. Very well. Very well. And John Willyard is who I'm chatting with tonight. And you more than likely recognize that voice.
And
You
Reagan's
just
right
didn't
there.
know. And
Yeah.
Reagan's up there. Well, Reagan's over there, and I'm right here. But, what a voice. What a voice.
Thank you.
Hey,
What's
John,
Oh,
sorry.
go ahead.
Yes.
No, go ahead.
I just wanted to ask a quick question. So, have you ever like experimented with different styles or accents or played a different character, or
Oh,
do you present most of the time as yourself, like as John?
that's a great, great question.
Mhm.
There are some stations that want me to do that, and regardless of whether they ask me to or write it in, I will do it generally, just because that's who I am. I have fun doing it. One of them is singing. In the early 90s, I would actually sing jingle outros to promos that I would produce. I mean, I did everything hands-on back in the
You're
90s.
like, I didn't go to school for this.
Oh,
Like,
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't
My singing. I did. In fact, I did. I thought at the time when I was in Atlanta, when we went to 94Q, and I don't know if you know the story. I'll tell you that in a second about the linkage between 94Q and WKRP in Cincinnati, but there's a very real linkage there, and I'll tell you about that in a second. But I thought at the time that singing parodies and bits like that were the highest form of radio comedy. I don't know how it is viewed now, but at the time it was so funny. Did I send you the one that we did about Roseanne, where I sounded like Sting, from the Police, singing instead of Roxanne, I sang Roseanne when she was
No.
when she was at the height of her popularity with that ABC show.
Mhm.
Anyway, WKRP. So when we came here in '87, and I'd already been hired by Don Benson. You probably know that name. Very instrumental.
I do.
Guy. He hired Rick Dees at one market.
Yeah.
He's been around for years. The
Mhm.
the boyishly young-looking Don Benson, and I know he's not. I know he's not as young as he looks, but he's what a great guy. And so he said, You're already on the books. You're already hired. Why don't you go down and say hi to the general manager?" So he told me where to go. This was a Tower Place in Buckhead in Atlanta. And I walked down the maze of hallway, and I saw this all glass office with an all glass desk. And he saw me, and he had these big, fancy, not horn rim glasses, but they were kind of big like that, kind of looking like Swifty Lazar or Lamar, one of those Hollywood producers. And so he saw me, and he said, "Hold on just a sec." So I stood there, and I see these little framed objects on either side of the door. They were just mounted there because they couldn't nail them because it was glass. And one of them was a caricature of him in a hospital, and the nurses were fluffing up his pillow, and the captions said, "Is that okay, big guy?" And then I looked at the other one, and it was a telegram back when. Now, Reagan, you don't know about telegrams, but it was a telegram from somebody who said, "Dear Jerry," this is Jerry Blum, general manager.
Yeah.
"Dear Jerry,
Yeah.
congratulations on your 25th anniversary. I wouldn't have a career if it wasn't for you. Congratulations, and most sincerely, Gordon Jump."
Wow.
Well, you know that name. That was Mr.
Oh, yeah.
Carlson. That was big guy from WKRP.
That was the big guy.
Well, he looked. They could have been identical twins.
It's freaking awesome.
But then
Freaking
everybody
awesome.
who preceded me there at WQXI, the
Mhm.
FM was 94Q. Everybody was an actual inspiration to every character that you saw on that show, because the creator, Hugh Wilson, would hang out there in the lobby waiting for somebody to go to lunch. He was a copywriter at a big ad agency in Atlanta. So, yeah, those were real people. As a matter of fact, Herb Tarlick, that character, or the
Sales
man
manager.
came from,
Yeah.
yeah. I worked with him much later because I didn't know any of those people except for him. But that was Herb Tarlick. His real name is
Wow.
Clark
Okay.
Brown. We go to church together in Atlanta, as a matter of fact.
Oh, I love that. Love that. How many stations do you voice
Too many.
now? But you do it. You go all day.
No, it's about no. It's actually I can't be flippant about it because there have been some changes in the
Yeah.
last year, and not such healthy changes either. One was
Mhm.
a small group that decided to AI their imaging voices, and it sounds
Yeah.
horrible. The
Yep.
producers
Yep.
would secretly call me and play and say, "Listen to this." I said, "What? What is?" They said, "That's AI." So anyway, but I don't want to linger on that. I will say this. Well, so to answer your question, between about 80 and 90, primarily country, but some classic country, some classic hits, classic rock, some news talk. But like I said,
Yeah.
thanks to Rusty Walker, put me on the
God love
map
him.
back in the early 90s.
God
He
rest
was the
his
one.
soul, man.
And
Yep. Exactly.
when I really started adding the stations was when I was working in Bill Young Productions
Oh,
in the
really?
Houston area. And the receptionist would hit my intercom and say, "Hey, there's a call," and I didn't know who it was, and I pick it up, and they were asking for a demo, but demos on not MP3, not Wave. This is before the internet, on a cassette, overnight FedEx. But I would always ask them, "So who told you to call? I mean, who may I say recommended me?" And they'd say Rusty Walker.
Exactly. A
Yeah.
lot of consultants did, though. I mean, you were the man. You were the person they said, if we need an imaging guy, we got to get, or a voice, we need to get a hold of John Williard. I mean,
Well,
when I was at BBS, it was that way.
and
So,
thank you for telling me that. Thank you for reminding me of that, because I'm very cognizant of that fact that it was Rusty in the beginning, his whole team,
mhm.
JJ Job, Phil Hunt, Scott
Yep.
Husky, and the whole bunch. And who am I leaving out? Rick. Do you remember Rick? He passed away several years ago.
I can't.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the spot, but yeah, that
Oh,
whole
it's all good.
and then there were others, other very important and to this day friends, consultants.
Mhm.
But it's
When
been
you
so
when
great.
when you step into the booth and you go to do a read, give me that rundown. How does that work for you? I mean, because I have heard your outtakes, I have heard all that, and like you say, you sometimes just kind of do your own thing, and there are times that even though it wasn't in the script, it ends up being on the sweeper or whatever imaging piece you're voicing, and they are so awesome. And
Oh,
I
thank you.
used to laugh when I was at BBS and we used to get stuff back, and it's like there's no way that was on the script, but that's great.
Thank you.
What you do.
Oh, I appreciate that. What's funny is there are certain stations that evoke a feeling. Um,
Mhm.
and I will be truthful and say some of them it's like just get it done. Others it's like, ooh, I get to play. This is going to be fun. And those are the stations that I will share seasonal. I mean, I've saved in the gray matter, but
Mhm.
also on hard copy for years, stuff that maybe it would be dated if you read it verbatim, but you can change it up a little bit. Some of the imaging stuff.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm happy to do that. And I routinely do that. But probably what you're talking about on the issue or the matter of just hearing outtakes is now I just tighten it all up in Pro Tools. I even take out mouth noise. I'll take out
Yeah.
dead
Yeah.
space,
Yeah.
because I'm thinking about the producer, that I want
Exactly.
him or her to get to. There are a lot of female producers. There are some really good ones now, both
Mhm.
sexes. I'm
Absolutely.
thinking of some right now.
And I like that too. I like that. That's pretty awesome.
Oh, we're mixing it up. We really are. And I'm glad that Miss Reagan, I'm so glad that you're passionate about this and that you want to
Mhm.
not say no to any opportunity. I mean, you have to dig in. Hey, but don't do this like I did. I was single footloose and fancy free. And what did I do when I was 21 years old? I said yes to the chief engineer. Well, Skip, you know what I did? I had to go to the transmitter, which was Wolf Mountain, north of the Golden Gate Bridge. The fog is rolling in constantly. It's chilly. You can't hardly grip onto the tower. They wanted me to go up with a block and tackle and take down one of the elements. Where it was an
Oh,
eight-
no.
Oh, yeah,
No.
You know about that?
No.
I thought maybe he was setting the scene for my fate for a second there, and then I was like, oh, never mind. Never mind. Not
it's
going
fun.
up there.
It's
That's
funny
hilarious.
because he talks about those days early on in radio when we would go and do crazy things like that. I mean, when I first started, I can tell you this, I used to have to go and feed the owner's horses. That was one of my duties. I got off the air. I had to go to the barn and make sure they had, whatever feed they were feeding them. And Milt Hibden was the guy's name. I mean, it's crazy stuff. But you know what? It's because I wanted to work radio. This is what I wanted to do. I had the passion. I would do whatever it took. I mean, if it meant that I, worked overnights and vacuumed a rug and emptied the trash and did all that, you know what? I did it. So, but
I did.
you
said overnights. I laughed because I have to tell you this one. But yeah, you're right about you just do because you get a reputation real fast. It's a small organization. Oh, this is somebody who doesn't want to cooperate. They're not a team player. But yeah, do. So overnights. Here again, I was 20, maybe 21. So I did have an overnight in San Francisco. Nice size market. Hey, so why not do overnights? So one of the functions was after the network programming, there was a cue that I would hit. Now, after Friday, when I'd get off the air at 8 a.m., I would go and live like everybody else and go play, go whatever, do business, and then go to dinner with friends. And then I'd sleep Friday night and get up Saturday morning. Well, but when I got up Sunday morning, I would do things, go to church and then go to lunch. And then all of a sudden about maybe 7:30 or 8 on a Sunday evening, I'd go, wait a minute, I haven't slept. What am I going to do? I did that for a couple of weeks and so I had to go on the air at midnight, Sunday night, until Monday morning. And this is when a lot of stations would go dark. They would just turn the transmitters off and they would do weekly maintenance. They would do that.
Yep.
Usually that was the night. But we stayed on the air. But back in the day, it was called CONELRAD. So we had that was the EANS, Emergency Action Notification System, was called CONELRAD. Do you remember the cartridges that were taped up there in an envelope and a big kind of a poster, and it had authenticated words in an envelope, and you wouldn't open that up until there was a trigger word or something that your monitoring station would trigger.
Right. You couldn't open it.
It could
top
mean
secret.
Yeah, it could mean civil defense, that we're under attack or something like that. And you never wanted to open it. I never got.
Don't touch that envelope.
So this particular night was a Monday morning. So to hit the network queue at 2:55 a.m. Now, Reagan, imagine that, 5 minutes to 3 a.m. Hadn't really slept, and I had prepared everything, UPI teletype. I kind of rehearsed it, I kind of timed it out. Okay, I'm ready to go. So I look up, I put it down at the control board because I'm running my own board. Matter of fact, I had an RCA DX77 ribbon mic in the control room. You know those mics.
Yeah.
The iconic. Oh, what a warm sounding microphone.
Iconic. Yeah, I know exactly. They were the best.
And then I had a friend who had the 44, the big one that you see in all the classic, the vintage pictures, War of the Worlds, Orson Welles used to use one of those. So anyway, I look up and it's 20 minutes to 3, which is 15 minutes before I have to hit the mic and go live. And I thought, I'll just put my head down on the counter here for a second. I woke up at 4 minutes after 3 to dead air. But you know what,
John?
And nobody called. Nobody ever called.
I am everything that you're saying. I think I lived that life. I was working out, and God honest truth. I mean, and I know we got some radio people watching this too. And if you did it back in the day like I did, and of course, John, that overnight shift was where they put the new guy, a little bit of training, you get used to being on the air and all that good stuff. Well, one night I was on the air, and I put this, I don't know, it was one either Get Ready or Inagata DeVita or one of those songs that went for like 24 minutes. And you get to use the bathroom. No, I'm not kidding, Reagan. You get to use the bathroom. And then the station I was at had this big oil heater in the lobby, and they had this thick shag rug. So I grabbed, back then it was radio and records. I grabbed one of those and I laid down on the floor looking through it. Next thing I know, it's 5 a.m. It's like, but I'm gonna say nobody called.
Oh my Lord.
Nobody ever knew until well after the fact. So
did you ever hear Larry King when he was in his early years? He was working in Miami, a big station in Miami. Have you ever heard the story about him running down? Anyway, it's for another time. Yeah. I'll have to tell you that one privately. But there was this is a famous story that I know is true, but I wish I remembered the call letters and the market. But somebody had put on one of those the Christian programs that would run I think it was the Old-Fashioned Revival Hour. Remember that one?
Okay, that's one of the many.
And the Old-Fashioned Revival Hour, and it came on disc.
Yep.
It was a transcription. They used to call those transcriptions. And so it was going to be a 30-minute program. So as soon as he hits it, now it's on the air, he checks the levels, everything's okay. So he goes across the street to a little diner to get a cup of coffee and a pastry or something. And he comes back in plenty of time. He comes back even early in the middle of the program. And he can't get back in the door for some reason. It's locked on him. But he can hear through the window that it's stuck on a particular, that it stuck on this word: go to hell, go to hell, go to hell.
No.
Oh my gosh.
It was taken out of context. Probably say, if you don't believe, you're going to go to hell. Go to that crazy.
Oh my God. It is crazy. And there's another story that I know happened here locally where the overnight guy left. It wasn't me this time, but he left the station and forgot his keys. He went to go back in and he couldn't get back in. So it's kind of crazy. It's the things that happen. Yeah, I think we've all done those things, and the things that you and I have just been chatting about, and Reagan now finding out that was a little crazy back in the day. But John, when you worked let's say the CMAs and all the years that you did that, you are side stage and all that is live, correct? Or was live, correct?
Well, the show is, yes, but
you're announcing.
I'll tell you the parts that were pre-produced would be the coming up, who will win Entertainer of the Year? Will it be Garth Brooks? Tim McGraw? And the reason that we didn't do that part live over the video roll was because if you slip out, a second and a half is known in the as 45 frames. And you would be out by 15 frames. If you're out 15 frames, it's not going to sync up anywhere. So those we would pre-produce those. But then the walk-ups, some of the intros to some of the artists coming out of a commercial break, those would be live. How
nervous were you doing that? Were you nervous at all? Were your nerves like, okay, I know I got to get this just right. If I mess up by just even a little bit, it's going to throw the timing off for those segments that weren't pre-produced.
That's a fabulous question.
That is a
Do you
good
ever
question.
get nervous?
And I'll have to answer it this way. There was a big red button on this little control box that was in the voice booth, which is down, and they would vary. They did it in a portable, smaller trailer next to the Denali production studio. You've seen those when CBS Sports they'll pull up and they'll have this huge makeshift. But I was right next door to that. So it's in another part of the arena, but you can just take a little pathway and take a jog to the right, and then you'll hit the stage, the entrance. And I'll tell you a story about what happened one time when I marked my script book to see what was the longest commercial break. I'll tell you that in a second. But on this little panel was a big red button that said live, and that was my job to hit that when I did have those cues. So I would hear the program on one channel. That's the only time I don't wear earphones now. I just don't do that because I'm not listening to music generally, unless I have a commercial read where I'm having to sync up something with on Source Connect, which is the new Zephyr, the new
right.
IM.
No, yep.
You know it well, and so that was the only time that. Where was I going with that story?
What you talking about being backstage and the red button, and then you heard the show in one.
So one channel was program, and one was the booth, was the control, and they would give you the cues. You would all hear all the chatter. I'll have to send you a recording I made off of my headset one time when the show is starting. You won't believe all of the cues and what's going on. You'll hear two voices, the director and the associate director, and she's counting it out sometimes in the rhythm. 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3. Okay, we're gonna go, and then he'll go 2, take 2, and then 4, and 4, take 4. You're hearing all these they're camera shots. He's calling the shots, but this is their language, and they do this for a living.
Yep.
And they don't live very long. No, I'm just kidding.
No, they do. And I'm going to, what you're saying, because I work for the Mets as well here and, at this level in Syracuse, that the TV side of what I do is take 2, go to 4, go to, it's all the camera. I hear all that. When I do the PA, I can hear all that. So
it can be distracting, but it's fun.
It can be.
That was one time a year, but I always felt, to answer your question, Miss Ray, I always felt very comfortable, in charge. And the reason I did feel that way was because, hey, I've got this. I know what I'm doing. I'm having a blast. I know what's expected, and I know what I want to bring. And that was just the feeling that I had. And I would have to say that I don't hear that excitement and the passion in the delivery now on the CMA Awards, or really many of the shows. And I don't know why that is. I don't know why they've almost gotten too cool. Like, this is we're Hollywood now.
Who was the voice recently? Do you recall who was the voice of the CMAs now? Or no, they didn't have anybody, did they?
Melissa Disney has done it ever since I left.
And
I'm unfortunately, she posted something, and I don't want to say anything untoward or unkind, but she posted something on social media. The first year, she said, "I know nothing about country, but I love all these people and how they've accepted me." I thought that was a little quirky because, and the reason I say that is because this is what I brought to Walter C. Miller, and when he hired me, he heard something that was different than what they had done in the past. But I also brought an enthusiasm where I would go and visit the remote broadcasts, and I would walk up and do live intros to people. If it was if there were two competing stations in a market like, let's say, Atlanta, I wouldn't do the Bull because I was the voice of Kicks. In Atlanta, I would do stuff for them. But if I didn't have the client and I was clear in a particular market, like Topeka or something like that, I would certainly sit down, do an interview, or do a live intro. And that was at the time. And we talked about this, Skip, earlier, that there was such a buzz, and that's what I was trying to create and carry over from even the old MJI syndicated shows that we would do that became premiere shows. There were shows like CMA Moments that were, all of these. There were 5 or 6 of these shows, and they don't do any now at all.
No, and everything was John Williard. which was great. You were the voice. I mean, if it was country, you were that voice. You were the guy doing it all. And, now, I mean, times have changed a little bit. Things have moved on, and we're not exactly happy with what's going on, but maybe we got to accept some of it. But it's also fun when I hear your voice on a commercial or I don't know. I'm trying to think. I think it's been a little bit since I've heard you do a spot, but I know I've heard you, and I'll go, "Oh, John's on that spot. That's cool." So that's another avenue you can take if somebody doing what you do as a VOR, a voiceover artist, that you can also get involved with, the ad agencies and all that to get your voice on their spots. Correct?
Oh, absolutely. I've never been a one-trick pony. And I think this goes to maybe answering your question, Ms. Ray, is I don't want to ever be pigeonholed. I mean, when I said singing, and I have been a singer since I was 4 years old. I remember first, and I have no excuse for musical ability because my parents were both classically trained singers, and I certainly would. I guess if they were alive, they'd realize I let them down because I do, these rock covers. I would do parodies. I had a whole series, and you'll love this. Remember the K-Tel Records spots? K-Tel Records.
Yes.
That kind of thing. Well, my little bit was can't tell records. Can't tell records. One time at the end of it, I said, can't tell records because we don't know what's good and what's not. That kind of thing. Can't tell records. So I did a Johnny Mathis Sings Beautiful Metal collection. Did you ever hear that?
I can't say I have, but I know that artists like Johnny Mathis has done something like that.
I'll send it to you. Well, it was him singing rock songs, like some of the.
It's like Pat Boone, same idea.
Yeah, yeah. Except you never heard Johnny Mathis actually sing like that.
That's his
metal phase, huh? Yeah. But I sold one of those bits to American Comedy Network, American
ACN. American. No, it was American Comedy Network. It was ACN.
Yeah.
And we used to get those. We used to years ago, and we would get the CDs in the mail. I don't know if it was once a month or once a week, something like that.
But speaking of commercials, I just remembered this. I've never been able to actually do the authorized by the agency, by McDonald's agency of record, which is Davis Allen out of LA. But I did an audition. And by the way, that's a function of being signed with any talent agency. In my case, the wonderful folks at Atlas Talent, which I've been well over 20 years with them. And so that's a fixture of daily life with being with an ad agency, being a client as I am, is getting handed a myriad auditions. It could be Discovery Channel, it could be Geico, it could be, you name it. It really gets very, very it gets varied, and there's a lot there. And sometimes you go, oh, I know exactly what they want. Well, in the case of, I'll do this before I go in the case of doing a Johnny Olsen voice. I'll tell you that in a second. But this one, I got to do the famous ba-da-ba-da-da, that thing at the end of McDonald's. But we did it in a very clipped sports type way because it was a sports spot that ran on the West Coast, and it was pushing these specials. And so I got to do, I'll have to send you a copy of that because it was so different that the producer and the engineer and somebody else, they started laughing in the background. They said, that's it. We've never had that before. And I was laughing, and I was so happy that I got to do that. But by an authorized jingle by the McDonald's agency. But the other one that I was going to mention, where sometimes in an audition, you will know you'll just know you'll just know in your gut what they're going for. And in this case, when I read it, I went, oh, they want to sound like the Johnny Olsen on The Price is Right. The original Not the guy,
Mhm,
not
mhm.
Rod Roddy, not the current guy, but the guy who
Yeah,
really,
going way back. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah.
So I did that, and little did I know, I get a call from the Jimmy Kimmel producers, and they said, "This is
Oh,
gonna be for the Academy Awards." So the bit was, what did I just do? Did I touch
No,
something?
you're still there. You're still
Okay, good.
there.
Because this, oh, that's weird. Oh, and by the way, I'm on my wife's, and it was so sweet to do this. I wanted to do it in this is a sterile room, as far as it's not got the flavor that I would have in my studio, which is 2 floors below, down in the terrace level basement. I say terrace level because you can walk out the back. There's
Oh, I
doors
like that. I
on the
like
back
that.
floor, but on the
Yeah,
other side, it's all underground. So it's quiet too. It's
yeah.
got a lot
Well,
of
I'm in the basement, so
beautiful. Oh yeah, it's got a lot of beautiful acoustic properties to it. But yeah, this was a bit. So this was a bit. You can actually find it. Anybody who's listening, watching right now, if you just put in Oscars um, jet ski, Oscars jet ski. I haven't seen it for a long
okay.
time. Oscars jet ski. You'll see the two bits. So what it was that they actually gave away a jet ski to whoever would give the shortest acceptance speech. And they gave it away at the end of the show. And Dame Helen Mirren came out on, like showing it like Carol Merrill, this kind of thing.
Right, right,
They gave
right.
it away. So there were two bits where I would describe it and give the prize or give the price. So a lot of fun. Excuse me.
Wow. I want to talk to, a little bit about AI and how it's, you touched on it a little bit ago, but I really, I know Reagan Miss Ray may have some questions about this as well. But AI, the future of voiceover, when AI generated voices for the first time, when they first hit the mainstream, what was your initial reaction? Curiosity, concern, or confidence? What was it?
Wow. Or none of the above.
It could be. But you as a voiceover artist, and this is your livelihood, and now things are kind of, and I'm right there with you. We're starting to move on to different technology and all this stuff that's going out, whether it's voiceover, whether it's music. I mean, when that first came out, what was going through your mind as
Well, let
somebody
me
that
answer.
does this for a living?
Let me answer it this way, and so I had confidence when I heard this initially. Pat Fraley, based in Hollywood, is a very famous animation character voiceover artist. He's probably in his early 70s now, but he was interviewed by a friend of mine on one of her shows that she had on. He was on via Zoom. This is before the traction, before it really took off. And he said, and he answered it this way: AI can't do what we do because it can't do exaggeration. And he said
Hmm.
that's a function of voice acting, is exaggeration. It can't do the genuine exaggeration. Well, I don't know. Maybe since then they've been able to synthesize or be more sophisticated with it. But I hope not. I
It's very
think
limited.
I think that people are going to get sick of it to an extent. I hope where we just go, oh no, like such as if you go on Instagram even or see reels on YouTube and you go, oh no, another AI. You know what? I hate that. Some of it's clever, but I
Mhm.
hate it because they're shoving it down
Yeah.
our throats. I think we're going to go so far that we're going to hit a brick wall, come back to our senses, bounce off that, and then sort it out. I really hope we do, and I
Yeah.
hope the companies, the smart companies, will realize that their viewers, their listeners, their consumers can see through it, and I think they want real people. I pray that they do, that they see it, and that they'll
have you seen
refuse
um
perhaps.
have you seen any like particular projects or clients that are using AI more? You mentioned like radio kind of switching to AI. Do you see that more apparent in radio versus television or um where do you see your job possibly being more at risk,
Well,
or have been at risk before
I did have
since
I
AI
did
is
have a
progressing?
handful of television stations affiliates that I that were regular clients, but I for whatever reason I don't have them now. But I did lose, and I hate to say this, I hate to share anything about losing, but there was one small company that decided to go all AI, so I lost
Mhm.
those stations. I don't know how many others across the country have had to endure these losses, but I know that this has been a real period of flex, of transition. I don't know how it's going to pan out. I'll tell you, I'm looking forward to discussions and as well as seminars and sessions that they do at CRS, the Country Radio Seminar, coming up in a couple of months in Nashville. Because I know that for the past few years there have been people, and it was, there was just it was a little bit of a buzz maybe 3 years ago, and then the next year there was more, and last year it permeated everything. Now I will say this: that last year, Cowboy Kyle, great producer, you know who I'm talking about?
Yes, yes,
Croft,
I do.
Croft, I believe is his last name. He did a session where I don't know the name of the software that he used, but in real time he played any song that you might put on the air right now. Any singer, male, female, and he tweaked something, and all of a sudden the voice came completely out. Now we used to do that with a thing where you would reverse the polarity, but
Yeah,
then
you'd be able to drop it out. Right, right.
but it rendered it mono. That was the best you could do.
And yeah,
But
that,
this one,
that
it
was
stays,
acceptable.
everything stays. It's stereo, and it just takes the
It's
voice
crazy.
completely out. I have no idea. Man, they're getting sophisticated.
Mm.
But
You
that
know,
was
I
a
think
cool,
it,
that was a cool thing.
yeah, I think, a lot of these companies, everybody's looking at saving money. Everybody's cutting back. We're down to skeleton staffs. I mean,
Mhm.
if we want the best, you got to pay for it. It's the way it is. And a lot of these companies, and I think a lot of the listeners right now really don't know the difference. And people like you and I and Reagan, through our conversations at work, we do know the difference, and we do hear it. And
Mm.
just I think listeners take a lot for granted, and or maybe they just, hey, I hear the music, I'm happy, I'm fine with that. But I mean, people like you, having somebody like you on the air, having somebody like you in between our songs, you or some of the other voiceover artists that are talented, so good. I mean, I know a few of them, and they're all great. But that's what makes the station. I think when you can add that, for example, you add that personality into what you do. As I mentioned earlier, you hear it in your voice, and you have fun with it. You make it happen. I work with AI a little bit when it comes to producing some radio commercials, but you cannot get the full sound, as you mentioned, that feeling, that personality, the inflection that you're looking for. You can try, but you're never. Yeah, yeah. There's some good voices, but you're not going to get to where we need to be, what I
Mhm.
want. I
And
think
yeah,
that's
well, I'm glad you said that. And in real time, you can do all that at the drop of a hat. You can pivot and go,
exactly.
oh, let me try something else. Let me try something. So you don't have to sit there and write it or, and feed it into your computer. Well, what do you think, Miss Ray? Do you hear, I mean, what does it do to you? Can you recognize the,
I know with my work, like promotions, I mean, my job's definitely at risk. And to want to be a personality on top of that, it makes me nervous because creative careers are at risk right now. So the future of my career definitely makes me nervous. I hope what you said earlier about all of us kind of gaining our wits and coming back and realizing, we need that human factor. We need that original content. Um I hope that happens because I just don't want to accept that AI is going to take over everything. It's a hard line. I look at it as like AI is sometimes really amazing to use for collaboration, but it's extremely competitive to us. It could eliminate us. And as much as I'm like Skip, I do sometimes fall on AI, and I feel very guilty doing it, but I do. I fall back on it, and I just want to know that there's going to be a human factor in the future.
Yeah. I like that. Human factor. We need more of that. We need
It's
that.
2 words right there. You're right. Human factor. And
You know what's funny? You were talking about the uniqueness of what we do, and really being able to do things that tickle me, that make me laugh. Well, here's a reaction. This is crazy. You won't even. I couldn't believe this when it happened. About 3 or 4 months ago, there was a listener in Greensboro, North Carolina, to a station that I've been voicing there for about 15 years. Actually, the original program director there, when he first, they made it, they said, we're going to make a change. And then they did. And then they came back about a week and a half or 2 later, and they actually said this: we made a mistake. And they rehired me, and I've been back longer. Now, I've had several stations where I've been back longer than when they, for whatever reason, didn't retain me, didn't renew the contract. And my one station I've been with for 33 years. That's my original. Scott Mahalik signed me on that station.
oh yeah, Scott.
I know Scott, yeah.
Yep.
But anyway, this guy in Greensboro, he couldn't get anybody. Now, I'll tell you, the staff has only 2 live people on the air, and I think in the whole building, among maybe just
That's not
3.
uncommon now, though.
It's not uncommon, yeah. But he couldn't get a hold of it. He couldn't get a hold of a live person. So he kept calling all the Wolf format stations. So he ends up calling the Wolf in Seattle, which I used to be the voice of the Wolf in Seattle and San Francisco. That's another story. San Francisco, they flipped the format because it was expensive to pay for live programming. And so somebody was nice enough to say, oh yeah, I know who that is. And so he wrote me privately, sent me an email and said, there's this guy trying to get is it okay to give? Yeah, please give my email. So here's what he said. He said, I'm not really a country fan, but I listen to the Wolf in Greensboro, 93.1 The Wolf, just to hear the funny things that make me laugh that John Willyard, the imaging voice, says. Now, how did he know all that? But that's a real specific fan.
Yeah,
we do a lot of crazy, fun stuff, and it just was making him and his dad laugh. Even though they're not country fans, he listens for the imaging. No. Now that's a wacky out there listener. That's a fraction of 1% kind of person.
I know, but he's listening. I get it. Is there, John? You do all these stations, 90% of them being country. Is there any particular read that sticks out in your mind that you said, this is great, this is fun, I really, something crazy, anything like that? You don't have to tell me what station, but is there something that sticks out in your mind saying, this is great?
There's one that wanted me to sing to a do-re-mi, but I did it as a drunk because drunk sounding, because it was I'll find it and send it to you. You'll get a kick out of it, because it was a benchmark part of programming in the afternoon called Beer 30.
Oh, okay.
So I just totally played a drunk, singing this song. Boy, I wish I had a copy of it to play it right now. I didn't think about that, but stuff like that.
Sing it.
But really, I think what my favorite in my wheelhouse is when there's really clever copy, and there are a few stations that really write well, and it's done so you just play it, almost underplay it, and you just let the words land, and it's just all attitude, and they can hear smile in your voice, and they can hear with the pauses and everything, and I think that's part of the acting that appeals to me, because there's a lot of acting. Before I forget
I'm going
to go back to this and say there are a lot of acting parts that I have been hired either SAG-AFTRA jobs, union jobs, and I am a card carrying. I got and there are advantages, and then there's a lot of non-union as well. But according to Screen Actors Guild, SAG-AFTRA data, their data says, now this blows my mind too, and it kind of makes me cringe when I think about the reality of this. They say on average it takes 200 auditions to book one job. Hello.
Seriously.
I've seen it.
Wow.
Yeah, we've all seen it.
Yeah. What do you
But you keep plugging along, and when you hit a big one, you hit a big one. But they're few and far between because it's very competitive. Why do I say that? I'm competing against all the other voice actors, people on the roster.
Right. And there's a lot of them now. There's a lot of guys that used to work radio, everything's.
Yeah, and all the other agencies that are competing, submitting the same audition on the same day. Yeah.
What would you, somebody wants to do what you're doing. What advice would you give them? Somebody wants to be a John.
Study for the bar.
What are you doing?
That's reassuring. John. Thanks.
No, I will tell you this, that true passion and talent rises. It's like the cream. It rises 100%. To the top. It really 100%. Does. But it's not and you got to be persistent. I think there's more perseverance in it nowadays. And because it was like, all come, in the 60s, 70s, 80s, all come on. It was like there was plenty of room. We had a big party. It was a big family. Now you even look at real numbers and you say, I'll give you, for instance, the station in the 80s, there was a top 40 station I worked at in Northern California. I shared once a Christmas card and the comments were, that's for one station? Yeah, we had 16 people or whatever it was. That's one station? You didn't have more? No, it was for just one station. So it's the real true, the ones that really shine, the ones who get it, the ones who want to learn, the ones who want to keep on keeping on and never give up. They're the ones who are going to do the lion's share of the work.
So what would you say would be the first thing that somebody should do? I know that we have these, Voice 1, 2, 3. You got Voiceover Planet, I think, VO Planet. You've got all these different sites that, they're out there saying, hey, you want to be a voiceover artist? You want to be a VO? You want to be an actor, voice actor? Sign up. Let's do it. What do you think about all those?
Well, the agencies that right off the top say, give us $500 and we'll help you out. We'll help produce, and then we'll market you. I say stay away from those, the pay to play. And when you said Voices 1, 2, 3, they really undercut. They will undersell the legitimate. I don't want to say that there's illegitimacy there, but there are two different schools of thought or two different camps there, because they're paying such pittance compared to what should be the rate. We need to keep the rates real and keep them up. It needs to be equitable, but it needs to be. We're not giving this away. This is our profession. Our profession is important. What we do is important, and we need financial recognition for that. I'm not saying rip them off, but not what have you seen sometimes? $15 for 30-second spot on Voices 1, 2, 3.
It's crazy.
No,
it's crazy. Yeah.
But I'd say, gone are the days of the Connecticut School of Broadcasting and Columbia School of Broadcasting, and I haven't heard of anybody going through those. But I would say reach out to somebody a mentor, somebody who could become a mentor, somebody you consider a hero. You may not get a yes from the first person you contact. All right. but you'll find somebody who can guide you and maybe help even critique your work, your demo. But you've got to, and now everybody's got their own studio setups, and it's so easy, and you can produce something that sounds like it was on the air but wasn't. That's your calling card, is that demo. And then do the work, find the agencies, find
Yeah, I
the
think
people who can represent you.
I think just about everybody I've talked to, I mean, you plus, the few others that I know, and they're all great people and they do a great job. I think the majority of them go through Atlas, and they seem to be the leader when it comes to doing this type of work. So
They have the reputation, they have the power, they really do, yeah, and they have the respect. I was looking for there's many words I could use, but yeah, they are. I think
cool.
they have the best.
Cool. We've been, John, wow, I can't believe it. This has been one of the best hours that I've ever had. I mean,
Did
this
we
is
go
great
over an
talking
hour?
with you. I don't have my glasses on because I can't see. I cannot see the. No,
Is
I
that-
think like an hour 10, but that's
That's
all
your
right.
time. Oh, I didn't realize we were going over. I didn't even get to the
And if you're no,
Rod
that's okay. We
Steiger
can keep going. We can keep going. But I'm just worried about your wife in the tub if she's waiting to come back to that room. She might be
She's
all
not coming
shriveled up
back
by
in her
now.
office.
Okay. All right. No, just kidding. But no,
I
I want to hear some of
apologize
these
that you've got
stories.
that. I didn't even realize how that door is just such a boring looking. I'll have to tell her, hey, I love your
the
boring
room?
office, honey. But you didn't get to see my mics and my,
Yeah.
it's got some
So,
nice lighting.
Can
and
I
stuff.
ask, what does your wife do?
She trained through Le Cordon Bleu, the cooking, the high-end cooking school. She's a classically trained.
Oh, so that's what that text was about that you sent me earlier about having that dinner. You were doing the dishes.
The risotto and mahi. Oh, and the sauce.
Ooh.
So when it's a French emphasis on French cooking, they're known for the sauces. And wow, she is so great with sauces. That's
awesome.
That's her
awesome.
wheelhouse. Man, everything she does. And she might
Let me
say
give you-
something is simple, and she'll say, "Oh, sorry, it was boring." Are you kidding? Don't apologize. This is greater than
John,
anything in the county. Yeah.
John, let me tell you about the Skip Clark household.
I want to hear about this.
Okay, so Monday is shake and bake chicken. Every Monday. Tuesday.
I'll be right over.
Tonight. It's yeah, okay. After the first couple of weeks, you get tired of it. Tuesday is Taco Tuesday. Wednesday is pasta. Thursday is Chinese. Friday is eat out. Then the weekend is pizza and wings. And this is Zach's menu. My son Zach, who you saw before he went out live, but Zach, he's so stuck to this schedule. That's what we go through every week. It's the same.
I love it.
Shake and bake,
I love
tacos, pasta, Chinese, eat out.
I not only love his taste, but I love his heart. I have seen the shows. What a guy.
Well, you voiced a lot of those intros too. So,
oh man, he's 25.
So
now.
awesome. He's 25. 25.
That's so
He is.
cool. And he loves his dad. Well, I see it.
No, his dad loves him. He's changed our lives. So my wife and I, it's when he came into this world, it was a whole new beginning for us.
Yeah.
So,
wow.
So cool.
Wow.
And but I want to hear these stories about. I mean, you were talking about just being who you are and the shows you've been involved in, the stars you have met, the people you have hung out with. I want to hear some of these good stories. I mean, I'm all ears, brother. I'm all ears.
Well, thank you. And where it mostly happened was in the intimacy of the Grand Ole Opry. Right. It's easier to get around. Miss Ray, have you been to the Grand Ole Opry?
I have not been there yet.
So it seats about 35.
Yet keyword.
Yeah, right. Oh, I think the Opry is bigger than ever. I think there was a period maybe in the 2000s where it started to dip a little bit, languishing a little bit. I don't want to use that word, but man, I got to do a guest announce there. We talked about this earlier, and it was sold out that night because there was a group called Shine Down that happened to be on the bill. Yeah, but I got to introduce one of the Opry members, of which there are fewer than 80 active living. And we just lost Jeannie Seeley. So I got to introduce John Conley, who had been since 83 or 84, he's been. Now, you don't know this, Skip, but when the opportunity came up, we'd like you to be a guest announcer. I immediately wrote to Mark Wills. Now, we have some history, Mark and I.
Yeah, no, Mark.
We met at CMA Awards in 98 or 99. And he was a huge, as he called it, wrestling fan. And he had discovered that I was the promo and commercial voice for WCW, World Championship Wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
And I was until they sold it in March of 2001. We actually met at and I never had to go to the events. I would just send my recording, my stuff, and they would produce it. Matter of fact, when they went under, or when they sold it to Titan Sports, which is Vince McMahon, as you know, it put out about a half a dozen video post houses in Atlanta went out of business because they were doing all WCW work. There was that much. At one time, there were 5 weekly shows with WCW. There was WCW Worldwide. Then, of course, this on cable live shows. There was WCW Thunder on TBS, and then there was Monday Nitro on TNT, which at one time beat Monday Night Football on ABC in the ratings. Isn't that crazy?
It is. So,
so I wrote to Mark because he's a member of the Opry. He's in the family, and I wanted to see which nights he was going to be booked. And all the dates, they didn't work out. We just couldn't coincide. So I did October the 10th. So it was a great, that was a birthday weekend, and
nice.
A lot of fun.
How was that? And, I did apply for that as well. I'm sure so many of us did. But I'm not at the level that you're at. You're John Williard.
No.
And they, it's just, I never heard back from them, but not only you, but I know many others that I consider friends that were actually guest announcers, which was pretty cool. I know my friend Hannah Lane. She got
sure.
You know Hannah. She was on the. She was just.
She's
been watching tonight.
Right.
So, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, she's a rising star. She's one to watch. I met her at CRS. She came to her first one last year.
And she was all about it. She's great.
I think
Hannah Lane
was the latest one to one of the last ones from Pensacola. Does morning.
Yes.
And great station. Man, they're multi winners.
Well, just so you know, today I had Cat Country up on the studio computer. Just I said, you want to hear what John sounds like? Listen to this. Did I or did I not, Reagan?
He did.
He did. I said, all right. So I don't know, whatever John Party he was playing. Then there was a sweeper. I go, that's John. She goes, wow, that is cool. I said, yeah.
This is Pensacola.
Yes. Wow. Cat Country.
Wow.
What's it? Cat Country 98.7.
98.7. Yeah.
98.7.
Wow. Which is funny. I got to tell you this. When you said point, sometimes I'll look at the copy and I'll go, well, wait a minute. I'll write them back. Do you want to put a point in here? Because I've never done that before. And they'll say, oh, good catch. So I'm so used to.
I know. I am.
I think they're wearing so many hats because a lot of them are in charge of multiple stations. And this station may be a point, and this, and the one. So anyway, I keep it.
Yes, I'd like it 98.7, but
it's streamlined. Yeah, it's streamlined.
We're 92.1. We're 92.1. They wanted to put the point in with ours, and if we were just 92.1, the Wolf, I mean, I am.
They say, and they say it's a digital thing. They got to remember to put the point. No, they'll figure it out. That's
between you and I. So no, I get it. I get it. Totally get it.
But instead of 3,500 seats in the Grand Ole Opry, when there's not a big show like the CMA Awards, because they'll have to take some out to put to. Oh, we lost Miss Ray.
Oh, she's.
Where is she?
Oh, I don't know.
You
Where'd she
see her?
go?
I don't. She's.
Miss Ray's gone.
I don't
Yes,
see her
yes, she'll
now.
be
Come
back.
back. Oh, please come back.
She
We
she
needed you.
she'll come back.
It was
I'll watch her.
balanced. It was so balanced with her.
Wait a minute. I think she's back. Hang on.
But they
I think
would
she's
go back to there. Now she's there. She's underneath. She's gonna bounce around. Yay!
Yes! Oh my gosh, I don't know what just happened.
Verizon, right?
Yeah, there you go. Well, don't you laugh about that, but yeah, I have
Technical
Verizon,
difficulties.
and that was the worst day of my life, John.
Oh,
It was the worst day for everybody.
Oh yeah, I heard about
It was
that. What
having a bad
happened?
day and everybody that
What
had
happened?
bad.
And I don't think we ever got an answer what happened. Somebody said it was the satellite. Somebody said it was the server in New Jersey. Somebody, you don't know. They've never really said. I know that that day was for anybody that does what we do. And we have to, I'm on the phone all day with Nashville, so to speak. And when we do this type of thing and, it's just the phone service it was the worst day of my life. And Miss Ray could tell you that, but I was in the studio and up front, her and Miss Becky, who works at the front desk, was like, Skip's not having a good day. The phones are down. This is not going to be pretty. And it wasn't. So, but anyways, a whole different story.
Isn't that something that messes with your psyche? Because it's
It
something
does.
that's just always there. You never
Yeah.
question it. And
I talked about that. Yes, I talked about that on air. It's like, this is something, we it's always in our hand. It's something we always have. I don't know whether you do what you do, whether it's what I do or what Miss Ray does. Then when it goes away, it's like, crap, what am I going to do? Holy crap, this messes with your mind. So anyways.
Yeah, we finally got, how many years ago have we had it? Oh, I bet more than I want to admit. Fiber, when they finally brought fiber in.
Yep, we have fiber.
8 years ago or so, 10 years ago. Man, that made a world of difference. Yeah. So
it does.
But anytime there's a problem, and you know what can happen is there could be a traffic accident where somebody runs off the road and hits one of those junction boxes. It'll take out a whole area until they can get it back up. There's a lot of rewiring that has to happen.
Now the fiber is it's pretty remarkable.
Yeah,
it works.
Crazy.
And
but back to so great memories. It seems like there were more of them at the Grand Ole Opry. So one year, 99 or 2000, I wish I'd written it down. But I would always mark my script book, which was a huge 3-ring binder, and I'd find the longest commercial break. And then I'd go, okay, and I put a little tab there, and I'm gonna go out and mingle with the audience. Well, I would even go out before the program started and kind of unofficially, I'd wear not a tux, but a suit. In the early years, I would actually wear I had a gold lame vest and a bolo tie, a gold and silver bolo tie. When people were dressing like that. I remember Heath, the lead singer from not Lone Star, from Ricochet. They dressed like that. There was a little thing going on there that's not now quite like that. But anyway, I would go out and greet people. Well, in the middle of the show, I went out and went up the main center aisle, and there was a gentleman about the back third probably of the crowd, and he stepped out of his aisle. And as I approached him, I had no idea that he was there. But somehow, intuitively, I knew who it was. I said, Mr. Steiger, may I show you to the men's room? And he said, yes. So he just had that look in his eyes. So I took him out to the lobby, to the men's room. And I waited for him, and I brought him back. And he thanked me, and he at the end of the row, as he went to find his seat again, he said, "This is more fun than the Academy Awards." And it was Oscar-winning actor Rod Steiger.
Wow.
Who had worked with Marlon Brando.
Yeah.
Sidney Poitier and all the. And to this day, I still don't know whose guest he was. The production staff, they didn't know who invited him, but he was there and he was having a great time. Another one. Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. No, I was just going to ask you really quick. Do you keep those binders? Do you have those put away somewhere the years that you did the CMAs?
You know, I had more than 20 because I went, oh, why do I have more than 20? Then I realized, oh, I did the 75th anniversary of the Grand Ole Opry. That was a
Mhm,
special that was CMA
mhm.
produced. It was not a live show, but that's the one where I there was a lot of stop down time because they would, they'd put it together. It was videotape.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I brought my little book of the craziest but real lyrics to songs that were mostly written in the 60s and 70s. And the guy that I handed it to have him sign it was Mel Tillis,
Oh,
the
wow.
Coca-Cola cowboy, Mel Tillis.
I
And this
love it.
was a real title to a song that was copyrighted and recorded in 1967. And it was called How Come Your Dog Don't Bite Nobody But Me? Real song.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. Okay.
Some of them were, I don't know whether to go bowling or kill myself. That was a real song.
It's a
Or
hit.
you're the reason our kids are ugly. That was a real those are real country songs. Yeah. I love that. I have that little booklet and
Oh my God.
he signed it. He signed it.
That is very cool. Those are, you must have like so many of those things put away. I mean, it's such a big part of your life and everything you've done for, the country music fans and the listeners and you yourself being in this position where you get to, hang with the stars and get to know them a little bit. I mean, you're the backbone. You're the backbone of these shows. You're the backbone of all this. And that's got to be, I know if it was me, I'd have like a whole shelf full of all those.
Well, I still do, but I gave away two or three binders that covered some years. I think the year that we did the show 6 weeks after the attack of 9/11. I
Mhm.
think that one I did contribute to the Country Music Hall of Fame, the and museum. That the museum.
Yep, 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 yep,
They
yep.
have hundreds of thousands of now digitized artifacts, pieces in there, but they did take me in kind of to the bowels of the place, and I saw all this stuff that's still
Yeah,
being cataloged. I mean,
yep,
they had things that were they had nudie suits. They had from
yep.
great artists who are in their senior years now who are contributing not only
Yeah.
their their costuming, their stage clothes, but their instruments and even amplifiers and all kinds of things. So I did contribute three different binders because I think there's some relevance to it. By the way, I don't know if
You
you know
do.
this, but I
Absolutely.
didn't know until I took a tour of a relatively new Country Music Hall of Fame and museum. This was in the early 2000s when I visited them because I had seen the other one. You probably went to the old one
I've been to,
on
I don't know if
Music
I went to
Row.
the old one. Oh, on Music Row. Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
that
All
one.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think a lot of
Yeah.
people have been there, but this one is huge. And they take you first from that lobby. They take you on an elevator to the third floor, and then you drop down. You do all the floors, and you just
Yep.
go
Yep.
down one
Yep.
one. Well, I'm looking at the early years. There's all these displays and music and things to read and audio to hear. And as I get closer to this one sit down area, that's kind of a little theater in the middle of all of this, and I'm hearing a voice, and I go, no, that can't be. And the closer I got, I went, and the loop, it came around again because it was on repeat. And it was sure enough, it was my voice was, I had no idea. But it was just part of a display that was called Country Music on Television Through the Years. So they had things like Hee Haw, Statler
Yep.
Brothers,
Yep. Yep.
even
Yep.
Reba, Doritos commercials, stuff like that. Just everything that's been on TV. And all of a sudden, here it comes. Because I went and sat down and watched. It came up again. It was about a 12-minute piece, and it was an introduction that I got to do for Vince Gill. So yeah, so that was pretty.
Wow, dude. I
That
don't
blew
know. And what were you thinking when you heard that and you sat down? What went through your mind? I mean, that was your voice. And now it's in the Country Music Hall of Fame.
Well,
What
I
went through
went.
your mind?
Yeah. I don't think I've ever. Excuse me. What's going through my mind right now is what's going on with my voice. I think it's the weather too right now because
Could be.
we actually were around 70 last week. And
Okay, that's enough about this
now
conversation
it's been in
because
the
it's
30s.
almost zero here.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
terrible. Yeah, no, we haven't been that cold, but we've had hard freezes. This morning I
Yeah.
went for a hike, and the ground we had a hard freeze. About 24 was the low,
Mhm.
but I think it's just popping around so much. So what it said to me was, and I've never been really asked that to that extent. What it said was, "You're an old timer. You've been putting in a lot of years here, and you've done a lot." But it just kind of made me realize, yeah, you're a thread in the tapestry
Mm-hmm.
of
Mm-hmm.
country music, country radio.
100%. 100%, John.
And
No doubt.
Rusty Walker said something so sweet. He said this in front of several people at CRS about 15 years ago. He said, John is the most heard voice in country music.
Mhm.
I went,
I would say.
wow, you're saying, well, anyway, I just,
Yeah. No, dude,
blew me away.
absolutely.
he blew me away.
Yeah. God rest his soul, man. What a good guy, too.
But I'm staying with it. I don't want people to think I'm going anywhere, because I'll tell you, my hero for longevity, and I've said this before publicly, my longevity hero is, you won't even believe how old he is now, is the guy you hear who says, "This is Jeopardy!" every night on the show, since Alex Trebek, since he was with him in 83, 84. Sounds the same, I think. Johnny Gilbert is
Yeah, he does sound the same.
97. 97.
Wow.
And those are first run shows.
Wow.
He's still
That's
hanging out.
amazing. And that's what keeps him going, by the way. That's why you don't stop doing what you're doing.
That's right. Yeah.
Just
If you
saying,
love it,
you know.
you love it.
You love it.
Yeah.
That's what we do. We love it. We
Mhm.
love it. Absolutely. Tell me a little bit about the Country Radio Hall of Fame. You being inducted, you're an icon with that. Tell us about that a little bit.
I'm glad you asked that, because, excuse me, this is really crazy. What happened at CRS on the reveal, when they played our reactions that would have been recorded kind of like this on Zoom when RJ Curtis called us.
Mm-hmm.
And so we would actually, I'll tell you what we were recording was my idea, my reason for being there with RJ on Zoom that particular day in June of 2023 was to tell my impressions of CRS through the years. So I did. I filled up a whole page of things like my favorite keynote address, keynote speakers, my favorite session, people I've met, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I'm all ready to go. So he's talking a little chit chat. It was really sweet. And all of a sudden, not Beverly Brannigan, Shelley Easton.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Her comes in, and she has this big smile. I said, "What are you doing?" She said, and without missing a beat, she just went right into it. "I'm so happy to tell you, John, that you're the latest inductee into the. So they record that, and of the class which was a great class of 2023. Trish Biondo, Dollar Bill, they're a couple of the people who went in that class, and I got to know them really well that year. So we had to keep it secret for about 4 weeks. And then the big reveal would be on the first day of CRS, and that, what do they call that? Honors hour or something?
It was the honors.
It's kind
honors.
of the kickoff. And I think they also do the in memoriam that day, and they have some announcements, and we have the national anthem sung by a guest, which is always fantastic. And so when they played little excerpts from our reactions. And my honest reaction that they captured and then edited into the piece that they played for everybody on the big screens was, I said, "Charlie Monk, I'm so sad that Charlie Monk is gone, that he won't see this." I mean, that's the first name for whatever reason came to my mind.
Yeah. Well, I get it.
So important. He was, Miss Ray, he was co-founder of CRS. He had gone to every one of them from year one, 1967, 68, somewhere in there.
It's going back there somewhere. I'm not really sure, but yeah.
So at the end of that hour, when everybody stood up and they were getting ready to leave, a McKenna monk, about 20 years old, comes up to me and she's still got some tears in her eyes. And she said, my girlfriends and I were in the back here. And as soon as you said that Charlie Monk, that line about missing Charlie Monk and he wasn't alive to see this, she said, we just burst into tears. That was my grandfather.
Oh my God.
That was my grandfather.
Wow. Wow.
That made it all worthwhile. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Very cool. And there you are. You're now on that wall, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Yeah, I've been to a lot. I tell you, this is sad and we were talking about when you age, we were talking before we started live that you look at life when the longer you live, it's like the roll of bathroom tissue that when closer you get to the core, it goes faster and faster. I'm going
to have to remember that. I would.
That's just crude. That's so crude. I hate that crude analogy, but it's kind of true because what I'm going to share with you here is so real, is so true.
Mm-hmm.
That there are so many of those people who were my friends who have passed, who I saw. I went to their induction. I knew them. But two of them in particular, I can name right, and you know who they are. I went to their funerals as well. The latest one was they were having a hard time.
I know. I'm trying to think who would.
Willyard Jones was one.
Okay.
Yeah, right. and not Cadillac Jack. That's another one, but I don't think he went in. This is crazy that it was
I can't.
It was Dallas McCade's partner for a long time. Not Rhubarb. Why can't I see his name? Huge talent, Moby.
Oh,
Moby in the morning.
Okay.
I can remember his real name, James Carney, but his name was Moby.
His radio name was it Moby?
Moby. Yeah, he was so. Okay. When I went to visit him in his in his hospital, about 4 weeks before he passed, and he had some kind of cancer that eventually did take him. And I said, you know what? I know you from back in Nightline days when Ted Koppel was doing this show on Shock Jocks, and you were on the air in Houston.
Moby.
And you were known as a shock jock before you got into country. He goes, really? I said, yeah, that's where I knew you from.
Yeah.
But yeah, we lost him. We lost a lot of good ones. Do you know this?
John,
Dandelion, right?
Dandelion, yes.
Dandelion.
Yes. Yeah.
So I actually flew to her 20th anniversary in radio, which doesn't sound like a lot until you consider that she got in radio at age 40 from the postal. She was a post office person, and she chucked that, and she said, no, this is my. So she became. She's the one who introduced me privately to Garth Brooks at a CRS one time when he was there doing. I think he was talking about retiring temporarily, to raise his daughters in high school.
Yeah, which he did, and then he came back, but yeah.
That goes way back. But Dandelion, she went in 2000, and there was an era when they would have the person to induct you come out live. Mm-hmm. Now it's pretty much streamlined. They want to move it along, and I understand that. So they want the person inducting you to be on video. And it just moves it along because, it can get long-winded when you have live people. You can't give them a cutoff sign, but what you can edit the video, that works. But the one who inducted her was Garth Brooks.
Wow.
Yeah, he came out of the curtain live and surprised everybody. Yeah.
So cool. So cool. A lot of memories, John. I'm sure you could go on and on and on. You've lived quite the life and you still have a lot to go. So, just everything you've done.
Thank you for your friendship. Thank you.
Thank you right back. And now you met Miss Ray.
And now I met a new friend. Thank you, Miss Ray.
Yes, thank you, John.
Will you stay in touch?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. Oh,
Good.
believe me, she will. She will. She
Yeah,
is
for
so good
sure.
at doing this. I've introduced her to a lot of people in the biz, and she's now got relationships with them in a good way about work and how to do things. And just, she's taking it all in, John. I'm so proud
Sure.
of her being on her staff. I mean,
Proud of you
just,
too, and I just
Well,
got to
thank
know
you
tonight.
guys. Thank you guys for letting me join tonight. Normally I get to just hang with Skip, and you know, he gets to ask his questions, gets to do his whole thing, but I'm really happy that I got to sit in today. I was super excited to hear that he was interviewing you. The work that you do is inspiring to me. You're so talented. So I'm really, really grateful that I got to sit in today. So thank you guys.
It's been my pleasure. It really has been.
Yeah.
I got to thank my wife too for her office.
Yes. Thank you, John's wife.
Yes. Pretty sterile, though.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like there's much going on there.
Yeah, no,
a few books in the bookcase. That's all.
My digs are not tidy like this.
Dude,
next time.
Well,
we'll do it
take
next
a look
time,
around here. Yeah,
next
time. We'll do it.
Thank you.
We'll do this again. Yeah, you just don't hear a voice like this. You grow up with it. You just don't hear it. You grow up with it. And John Willyard didn't just announce moments. He became a part of them. He is a part of all that.
Thank you.
And long after the lights fade and the music stops, that voice will still be telling the story. It's that guy right there. That guy right there. I'm Skip Clark. Thank you for watching Skip Happens tonight, everybody. Make sure you subscribe. Tell your friends about it. Make sure you keep an eye on John. You listen for that voice because you're going to hear it. He's a legend. He's an icon. We're so proud to know him, our friendship, and also being a part of Skip Happens.